So people are just entering in the room. So while, yes, we have all participants, and thank you again for joining us at the session today. As you know, I'm Isolina BOTO from COLEAD, and I'm very pleased with colleagues to organize those sessions. It's number 21 today with our counterparts and strong partnership, the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO, that you know very well. And you know also that these series are, because they are series really on innovations and successes of African farmer-led businesses and small and medium enterprises. The whole idea is to really showcase enterprises, successful local African enterprises in different topics. Today is related to consumers, to really learn from those successes. They are not been all, you know, without challenges like any business. To learn from them, to get inspired by them, and of course to bring also some insights from other organizations and experts who are from the ecosystem that supports, of course, the entrepreneurs. So I am very pleased to welcome you today, wherever you are. I know that the list of participants is really short, as from the previous sessions, participants from the various continents. So we are very pleased about that. A link to that, we also have this session in English, French, and Portuguese. So please feel free to check at the bottom. Normally at the bottom of your screen, you have a little globe, interpretation or languages, and you have to choose, of course, the language which is yours between English, French, and Portuguese. We will have all the presentations one after the other, and we will open at the end. I mean, we will bring some questions or some, you know, additional insights. So what I would recommend, as always, is while our very good actually presenters and panelists are presenting, please put already your questions or your remarks in the chat. It will allow us, of course, to consolidate them. I remind you as well that for legal, you know, obligations, we cannot share the data, so the telephone, etc., or the email from anybody, be participant, be panelist today, without clearance first from the people involved. We are always happy to do that when we are requested. But you, of course, if people want to put themselves their own you know, contact, they are more than welcome. And if not, you contact us, and we will be following as well on this. So today, what we are going to go quickly to the discussion, but the topic of today is really a very interesting one, because we have been covering it in the different topics we have held so far, and it's about the relations with consumers and producers and smallholders and so on. It's all this area which has many ramifications and many interesting points. Of course, we are not all producers. I'm not a producer, but I certainly am a consumer, and we are all consumers. So I think we will feel reflected, you know, on all the trends we have now towards sustainability, rights, human rights, environmental impact, etc. And we want really to favor and to showcase that following, you know, the needs and expectations from consumers, while not compromising with the quality and food safety, is very important. But we want really to support all these strong relationships and sensitization of consumers, that, you know, we have producers behind, that there is a story behind of people working very hard, and very often not even being recognized how they should be, or be paid as they should be. So it's a very important topic for us. As I said, we have it all the time in the different sessions we had on trade, on sustainability, on consumption trends, and so on. But today we wanted to give it a bit more prominence. So without a major delay, and the discussion points today will be around the opportunities, of course, for African small and medium enterprises and consumers in connecting, and small and medium enterprises in connecting with consumers, what kind of innovations, practice they have been, you know, developing, how it has worked, and of course, what we can learn from those models. So without a major delay, let me give the floor to Babafemi OYEWOLE, my counterpart on this exercise. You know him very well already. He's the CEO of PAFO, the Pan-African Farmers Organization. You know him also in his different and various former capacities as a CEO of many organizations, agribusiness, African Agribusiness Alliance or Cashew Alliance, or African Energy Investment Corporation, and so on. So really different parts of the value chain. So thanking you and your team again for your support. Babafemi, please, if you want to give us some remarks from your side. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Isolina, for that little introduction. And I want to welcome everyone. Good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are joining us for this session of the Innovation Series. Once again, we are very pleased to welcome you, those of our regular participants and those who are joining us for the first time to this 21st edition of the Innovation Series. PAFO and COLEAD are pleased that you have created the time in spite of some of your busy schedules to join us to participate in today's edition. And the theme is how farmers and SMEs respond to the changing needs and preferences of consumers in Africa. We have chosen this theme because of the growing importance and the recognition of changing preferences of consumers with respect to stability, nutritional needs, and food security and food safety requirements for food that consumers are consuming in this dispensation. We know that these changes are being driven by population growth and the urbanization, which is causing some changes in the trends of and the transformation of the dietary habits of people. So, and in this, in the African context, we see that farmers and small medium-sized enterprises are facing unique challenges and an opportunity to meet the changing preferences and needs of consumers. So we also, in addition to this, we are seeing the development in climate change and the adoption of agricultural practices that we help farmers to produce more and also preserve the quality of the food that they are producing. And again, there is increased attention to the potential for creating the economic benefits within the environmental constraints that they are facing. So we see that these challenges are there, and that is why we're going to discuss today, because we need to use technology to be able to produce more at a higher quality so that it will meet the nutritional the food security requirements of the consumers. And also, as farmers, we need also to engage in sustainable practices. Like now, agroecology is being emphasized to produce foods that are devoid of chemicals, so that it will enhance the quality of food consumption by our consumers. So also, we need to understand the needs and preferences of the consumers as farmers so that we will be able to produce the food that they require and they will be able to consume. And we need also to our approaches to production also we need to be flexible so that the SMEs and the farmers will be able to quickly respond to the challenges. For instance, there are some challenges in terms of climate, in terms of flooding, in terms of pest, and also those things that will help us to really still meet the quantity and the quality of the food that is required by the farmer in case of the crisis. So, and what we are going to do today is to discuss as farmers and also SMEs on how to meet the challenges of these preferences of consumer, the changing preferences of consumer, and what we are doing as farmers and how we can collaborate with the SMEs to be able to deliver quality food for our consumers. And that is why today we are going to discuss the opportunities for African SMEs in connecting with consumers so that number one, they know their requirements, and number two, they are able to supply the quality foods that they need. Not only that, we also, what kind of innovation are required to meet these demands, these evolving demands, these emerging demands. And finally, we're going to look at what are the models that are working better, connecting farmers and businesses to consumers. Now we are talking from farm to the fork. So that means that along that change, there are a series of issues that farmers need to contend with, and also SMEs need to contend with. And that is why we want to share our experiences on these various issues and come up with solutions or suggestions for solutions that we can that farmers and the SMEs can adopt to make food, quality food, nutritious food, and promotes food security to the consumer. So with this welcoming remarks, I welcome everybody and I wish you all a productive session. Thank you, and I yield back to Isolina. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Babafemi, for your remarks, and thank you for the partnership. We will now, of course, I also mentioned that PAFO, but also COLEAD, of course, colleagues, the different services we have, but also many of the partners who are online and that we feature very often have also services that support different services, technical assistance, training, market development, business-to-business models, and so on, that support really the entrepreneurs, the smallholders, and in particular to also link better with the safe and quality food and sustainability practices to the consumers and to the other value chain actors. And from a COLEAD side is through the FFM Plus program that we are currently running, which is actually funded by the European Commission and OECPS, the Organization of the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States. So without major delay, go to the very, very exciting part, actually, the most exciting, which is the entrepreneurs themselves, how they have done it. And we are going to start by Kenya, by Joanne Murunga, who is the CEO of Kentaste Products Limited. Actually, she's really a professional who has worked in all the region, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. She has really very, very strong business development skills, a lot of interest for the sales, like of course, any entrepreneur, the strategy, marketing, governance. She's really passionate about that part, but also about the service that an enterprise has to give, and all the food and culture part. And she will explain to us all this kind of work she has done on the coconut value chain. And of course, dealing as well with the climate change, the reduction of food waste and food losses, but also strong, like many, or if not all, the entrepreneurs we have in those sessions, a big commitment towards the communities. So empowering women, but also young and youth into agriculture, and really making a very exciting, sector to be part of and to be working in. So without major delay, Joanne, I know you are traveling. I know you are currently in Nigeria, and the connection might be a bit, but please, the floor is yours. I hope all goes well.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. And as mentioned, there are a bit of challenges with my network, but we'll try as best as possible to get through the presentation. Yes, so my name is Joanne Murunga and I work at Kentaste. We produce coconut products. We're based on the Kenyan coast, and we source coconuts from 4,000 smallholder farmers along the Kenyan coast. We aggregate their coconuts and bring them to the factory where we produce a range of products. And currently we're sourcing 1 million coconuts a month. In the last 6 years, we've grown to be the largest producer of coconut products in East Africa and possibly in Africa, and we're continuing to grow quite a bit. At the moment, we have 6 distinct products. We have coconut oil, which is our flagship product. We have desiccated coconut, coconut milk and cream, coconut flour, and coconut chips. So very coconut-based. We believe in healthy, delicious food, so we center everything that we do around that. We are also growing in the region. So we currently sell in Kenya, where we're the market leaders in coconut, but we also sell in Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, Mauritius, and then also export in bulk to European and American markets as well. And we have a dynamic, vibrant group of people at the factory. We currently employ 200 full-time employees. This ranges across production employees, people in the field running extension services, and then administration services as well. So that's a little bit about Kentaste in a nutshell. You can go to the next slide. So in speaking about what Kentaste does to make sure that we're ever adapting to consumer needs, one of the most important things and a thing that we're very proud of is we do own the entire value chain from end to end. This means that even from the harvesting of the raw material, we make sure that we're in control of the quality that is there. And even a step before that, in terms of seedlings, we run a seedling program where we distribute seedlings to our farmers, making sure that they have productive seedlings, the best varieties that are there, and then also helping them grow the seedlings and increase their productivity. And then harvesting and seasoning of coconuts, which is ripening of coconuts. We also work with them again to make sure that we get the coconuts that we need for our production, and it's good quality coconuts. We do the dehusking, the transportation of the coconuts to the factory, the deshelling and drying. And in this example, we're talking about coconut where we do the entire production in-house. We try and keep everything in our processes as simple and as clean as possible. So we don't put additives, for example, in the coconut oil. We don't alter the coconut oil. We just believe in good, healthy products. And that is a changing theme for consumers across the globe is we're stepping away from the super processed products and we're going more towards the clean and natural products. And this is one of the foundations of Kentaste. You can go to the next slide. So like I mentioned, we do have the 6 products that you see in front of you. I won't run through them again, but I will say that at Kentaste, one of the things that we try to be very intentional about is using the entire part of the coconut. So we've adopted a zero waste approach where we use every single aspect of the coconut, and coconuts are very dynamic in that they can give you lots of product, but there's also parts that you can waste. So when you harvest a coconut and it's within the husk, a lot of industries don't do anything with that husk. On our side, we have tried to look at value addition for the husk. So we are currently running biochar products, and we are going to, biochar trials, and we're going to distribute the biochar among our farmers, again, just to help them with the agronomic side of things. We have trained our team for extension services. We're going to monitor and evaluate what the biochar does in the field and make sure that there's an impact there. So using the husk to add value with our farmers is very important. And then with the coconut itself, there's the shell, which we currently use to power our dryers and boilers. So that is used as a very efficient energy source. And then we have the kernel itself, which we use to produce the products that you see in front of you. And then we have the coconut water, which for a long time we've been pouring out since we didn't have production capacity for the coconut water, but we're happy to share that we've recently made significant investment in making sure that we don't waste any coconut water. So we will be launching a coconut water product by the end of the year. So again, just going back to consumer trends and consumer needs, not only the product itself do they look at in terms of health, value, nutrition, they also look at your processes and making sure that you're maximizing the value that you're getting out of your raw materials. And we're seeing that consumers are becoming a lot more conscious about buying products from companies that are making sure that they are zero waste, that they're economically friendly, environmentally friendly, and we try to reflect all of that in the products that we produce. And go to the next slide. So just a little bit more about that. I think I've mentioned in terms of consumer and the work that we're doing with smallholder farmers, but I just want to walk through maybe 1 or 2 programs that we have that are very intentional about this. So The first is, and it was initially mentioned with regards to healthy products. We are organic certified, not only because that gives us access to different markets, the US, the UK, Europe, but we also do this as a testament to the farmer themselves, encouraging them to practice organic farming, not only on coconuts, but everything else that they farm, because it is healthier for them. They might not be consuming the coconut products that we end up producing, but even in the farming journey, we try to encourage them to do organic farming because it is ultimately better for them. The second thing with organic is it does give us access to markets, and it allows us to advertise or market our products as organic. And when you go to a shelf and you are seeing a lot of processed goods, for example, in the coconut milk and cream aisle, we are soon to produce an organic coconut milk and cream, which is going to stand out on the shelf as opposed to a lot of the processed and different coconut milks that have a lot of additives and preservatives. And that is in response, again, to consumer feedback. They want something that is all natural, as unadulterated as possible, and we are responding to that feedback. The second thing is, and this was also mentioned in the very beginning, is people are becoming very conscious about human rights and good treatment of people, whether it's employees, farmers, different partners and stakeholders within the value chain. So Kentaste is Fair for Life certified. Fair for Life does require your customers to pay a premium for that fund to go back to the farmers. And we have focused on finding customers that will pay the premium. But it is very important for us to make sure that we treat our farmers fairly. So even within our contract, we have built-in clauses regarding fair prices. We have a floor price that we never go below. And this just makes sure that they're never exploited by brokers. But then on the marketing side and connecting it back to the consumers, we are able to say that we practice fair trade. We treat our farmers fairly, and we notice that consumers care about that. They care about the welfare of the farmers who produce the raw materials. And the last thing I would say is in terms of environment and taking care of the earth, we're also very passionate about that. We currently have 40 field staff. That's about 25% of our staff is in the field. And this is about 4 times the number of people that the government itself has in the field in terms of extension services. We are taking it very seriously. And we're running a number of programs. The first one, like I mentioned, is a seedling program where we establish the seedlings ourselves and distribute them to Kentaste registered farmers. We train them on good agronomical practices and organic farming as well. We just make sure that we are replenishing as we're taking from the earth. And again, this is very important for consumers. We are also responding to the rising changes in climate. Kenya recorded the worst drought in 40 years about 3 years ago. And as a result, our farmers lost anywhere between 10 to 60% of their trees, which was a really, really big impact on them and their income. And so we are putting a lot of focus on climate resilience training with our farmers, making sure that they're prepared, making sure that the trees are prepared so that we don't fall back into the situation that we had. In terms of being an SME and investing in a sustainable value chain, I think that's becoming critically important. It is no longer okay to just do business. We have to make sure that we do good business. And this is a very powerful marketing tool. It's something that you can reach out to consumers for, and it will give you an advantage over a lot of the companies or majority of the companies that are on the shelf if you do good business. We can go to the next slide. So this is just very much a summary of everything that I've just mentioned. We have this data needs to be updated. This is in regards to last year, beginning of last year, but we do work with between 4,000 to 5,000 smallholder farmers, about 30% of whom now are women. We also have very intentional programs in regards to bringing women into the value chain and making sure that they get value from coconuts as well. We work with 22% of youth farmers. Coconut is not traditionally something that is done by the youth, but by older people. 35% of our farmers have no formal education, and about 90% of them do not have access to smartphones. So it's a very a very low level income value chain, and the coast as well is a very underserved population. So we work with communities that are very poor and just helping them get a lot of money and income to build their economies. Like I mentioned, we have certified organic farmers. About 64% of our farmers are certified organic. We work very hard to increase their income by increasing their productivity and translating that to value on the shelf. And we put all this together in our neat products that are the 6 products that I initially mentioned. So last slide. Thank you all for listening. That's a little bit about Kentaste and the work that we're doing. We strive to continue producing good, natural, healthy products. We are, even as we continue to grow and, as we continue to grow and expand our product portfolio, we're looking at healthier products that match the needs of consumers. We're looking at not putting something else that is already on the shelf. So there's a lot of product innovation. There's a lot of research and development going into it and making sure that we are addressing the needs of our consumers. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. It's a very, very interesting, very impressive actually work you have done there on really expanding product development within one value chain, coconut, and which actually we are working as well on the different regions, Caribbean, Pacific, and it's one of the value chains which is very, very remunerative now and very, very interesting. I just had a quick clarification on the expansion of your markets, because you do the local, of course, Kenyan, regional and export market. Which is the one that is expanding the most, or are they kind of equivalent? Or do you manage to the local market to really, that they embrace that, diversification within the value chain of coconut?
So we have, Kentaste has been in operation for the last 10 years, since 2014. And over that time, we've grown to become the market leaders in Kenya. So we have captured about 90% of market share in coconut oil, for example, 50% market share in coconut milk and cream. So there is growth. A lot of it is bringing new people, new consumers of coconut and growing the pie as opposed to competing with competitors. 100% of our competition is from Southeast Asia imported into Kenya. So we do have that advantage of being Kenyan and being on the shelves. We have a price advantage as well. And we try to focus on that. So there is growth within Kenya, but it's very minimal growth, kind of because we've already, I don't want to say saturated, but we've already realized kind of winning in the market. So the biggest growth is coming from regional markets. So expanding into Rwanda and Uganda. Right now, they're doing about 20% of what we're doing in Kenya, with a lot more potential to grow into those. So we're experiencing growth there, but the biggest growth by far has to be the bulk export markets and the retail export markets. So we recently, for example, got a customer in Italy who is taking a container a month of coconut chips. And that's because the market is much bigger there. It's a lot more sophisticated. They care about the organic, they care about the fair for life, and we are continuously finding those customers in those markets. So I would say the opportunity is much bigger for export in those markets, but there does exist an opportunity as well in local and regional markets.
Thank you so much. Indeed, because also local markets and regional ones, especially in Africa, are really booming. So it's very, very interesting, actually, presentation. We will come back to that, and please put your questions or your feedback in the chat. We go to our next also women actually presenter. She's from Benin. Alors le Benin, Marlène Kindji, merci beaucoup d'être avec nous aujourd'hui.
Marlène Kindji, thank you very much for being with us. You are the founders of Badémè Natural Foods from Benin. You are a woman entrepreneur. You're passionate about processing and adding value to market garden produce, leafy vegetables, fruits and vegetables, and also confectionery made from aromatic plants. I think that you have involved your family, and you actually started your business after observing your own mother, who was a market gardener, and so you have first-hand experience. But what was important for you was to have an impact on the whole value chain of the products that you are producing and working with. Axel will be helping you to show the PowerPoint slides. I know that you've received a number of awards, and it's really encouraging to have young women like you who are motivated and who are staying in the field of agriculture, because you are convinced that agriculture is really a must, not just for Africa, but for the whole country. So Marlène, it's a pleasure to listening to you. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Isolina. And hello, everyone. Yes, I've been in charge of Badémè Natural Foods for a number of years now. Yes, we are showing your PowerPoint, which is appearing now on the slide, on the screen. Well, I will start by introducing my company. It was born, the business was born officially in 2017 after spending a few years working alongside my mother, who was a market gardener, and her colleagues. And to help her, I started by taking pictures of the food, the market garden produce that she was trying to sell. And the idea was to respond to the need to preserve those vegetables, and consumers, of course, started by buying the vegetables as such, but they started asking whether we could pre-process the vegetables, you know, pre-cook them, remove the stems or clean the vegetables, and so we also offer some ready-made sauces, which would have taken 2 hours to cook before. And so my friends from the diaspora saw the pictures and they started asking whether they could also obtain the products. And so I thought of something, you know, to make this transport easier. Dehydration. Well, the dehydration of these produce was especially meant for, and this is something that started only in 29. So I couldn't satisfy the diaspora, a broad local market. Now I'm able to respond to the needs and expectations of the resident customers as well as those of diaspora, with dehydrated product, pre-cooked vegetables, cleaned smoked fish, huangashi, fruit, what we call the pearl cheese, and crabs. So these are 100% natural food. My goal is to make them accessible, affordable, and transportable. Once they are dehydrated, they can be kept almost forever. And based on that, we want to promote healthy eating, local food, sustainable food, and we want to source mainly local market gardeners of Benin. In my own municipality, in fact, of Abumeka Lavi, we have 8 permanently employed people and about 10 or a dozen of occasional workers. Now, at the very beginning, consumers wanted pre-cooked food, but today, to make transport easy, vegetables that would, say, weigh about 1 kilo would now, thanks to dehydration methods, weigh only 30 grams. So they're easy to transport. You can travel by plane, especially for those friends from the diaspora. They can keep the products for a long time. It's not like they come back to the country so often. And the product is easy to use. You can put it on the table. At the beginning, people were not asking whether our products were organic. We don't have organic certification, but the products are 100% natural, right from the raw material. And people do care about healthy food. So you're going to see some needs that we need to respond to. Help people in the kitchen not waste any time. The second is to remain connected and with the Berlin roots, the Berlin roots. And the third is to eat healthy. So the first range of dehydrated products you can see here on the slide. So we have a mix of dehydrated vegetables or pre-cooked. We also have seasons and spices. We have fish, crab. We also have special flours because we do not eat vegetables without pasta or flour here. So we also produce confectionery with local aromas. And we're also selling pre-cleaned and pre-cooked vegetables throughout the year. All this can be used to prepare sauces and gravies, as already said. Then we have about 10 varieties of vegetables. Amaranth, vitex, doniana, wild spinach, vegetable cortea, cassava leaves, but also we have moringa, okra, ginger, and all this is interesting for the local people and children. You know, children don't necessarily like sauce, but they need to learn to eat healthy food intelligently. And because they like confectionery, we've manufactured confectionery based on these vegetables. And our response to the need to eat healthy is to guarantee traceability of our products and transparency. We've created a cluster of all the market gardeners who are working with us and supplying us. It's like an association, and the market garden produce are 100% natural. As I said, we don't have the certification organic, but the products are healthy. What are the challenges? Well, it's the high cost of equipment. For instance, to have a dehydrating equipment, it's quite expensive. But we also have local production. We need to turn to other countries where equipment are truly expensive. We need to have stainless steel equipment, and also packaging for food is extremely expensive. And so this requires large investments. You need to have authorization to put on the market. So we need to also pay attention to all possible standards. So this is to say that we do pay attention to expectations and needs. We have built a special building to be able to meet all these needs. 15% of our turnover is realized thanks to diaspora who don't have a place to live in Benin. So we are able to deliver the products by mail, by post. Sometimes it means that this is being sent to the United States, Canada, or even in the sub-region. There are some products that do not allow for good preservation, and distributors don't have freezing facilities which would be needed to preserve some of the vegetables. We had to suspend the production of carrots, cucumbers, which were deep frozen, but it's a bit complicated, so we had to stop that. It's not easy to deal with customers here because they don't have the managing software which would be needed. It's not necessarily affordable. So these, in a few nutshell, what I had to say. Thank you very much. Lovely picture. This is extremely interesting what you're saying, because those are local products. And of course, local people, local residents are well familiar with your products. I live in Brussels right now, and we are not necessarily aware of those products. The diaspora and even us, we are interested in this type of product, local product with a change of type of food being served, being cooked, especially if you live in the city. Families want to spend less time in the kitchen, and so having pre-cooked or pre-cleaned vegetables is a very good idea. I'm truly impressed by your packaging for the whole range of products that you put on offer, as well as the labeling. I'm sure there will be tons of questions for you about that. I want to thank you, and I'm not surprised that you've been awarded so many prizes. You are a young woman, a young entrepreneur, but very successful. We're now going to move on to the next presentation. We're going to move to Madagascar, and we are going to give the floor to the representative of Madagascar, Tantely Rakotobe, who's the founding manager of Tropikali and UTAM, Madagascar. I know that you two are very passionate about your work. I know it's not easy, as Marlène just said. This requires heavy investments for small businesses. You've created yourself several businesses. You have a farm, and you have been working on agri-food processing since 2019, specializing in drying exotic food and fruit. And your aim is to become a sustainable source of income for fruit producing farmers. So please don't forget to unmute yourself, and Axel is going to share your slides. Thank you very much for having accepted this invitation. We're really happy to have you here. Well, it's a shared pleasure. No problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Tantely, and I'm the founding manager of UTAM and Tropikally Exotic Fruit. We're based in the capital. UTAM was created in 2019. It is the unit which is processing dried exotic fruit. So we're specializing in the drying process. And we have one of our brands is Tropikally. As it was said by Isolina, my entrepreneurial path has been full of ups and downs. I actually started the firm farm, producing farm back in 2013, 2014. I was a partner in a large group that was aiming for corn, maize, and I was able to see how producers were living and producing maize. Um, American citizens came to Madagascar to help us make a business plan, and in their target, they had the idea of creating a company that would bring added value to the fruit, which would be wasted on the local market. And this is why I created UTAM and TROPIKALY. We can move on with the slides. So here I would like to show you economic model. Our raw material comes from fresh fruit producers. As you can see on the left-hand side, there is a lady who has a garab we called lychee. We take the lychee, we collect it, process it, and then we distribute the lychee on the local market as well as on the international market. So what's the difference between us and other companies? It's the impact that we bring to our country. And there are four axes: society impact, environmental impact, economic impact, and the impact on the economy. Now, we've represented Madagascar in the United States at the International Youth Connect competition. I didn't finish first, I was number 5. But we've taken part in many competitions. We were quite expensive. It was quite expensive for us. We went to GIZ. It was a project involving mango producers. We ourselves have mango, pineapple, lychee, but also dried apples. So roughly speaking, these are our products. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So why did I decide to create a drying unit? Well, that was after seeing the world trend in terms of healthy eating. As the two previous speakers pointed out, this is a real desire to find natural products, zero additives, zero chemicals, and no preserving matter. So why are the clients buying our products? Well, for the quality of our products, for the innovation, because they are affordable, and because it is impacting, and because it is respectful of the environment. In a few words, what is innovating about our unit? Well, the process itself, and also the electric tubes that we use at the end of the drying process. The machine we use is truly an intelligent piece of equipment. It dries at a high speed all of the products that are introduced. So we have a constant, homogeneous humidity ratio, zero discard, zero waste, because everything is well preserved. You can see some examples here. Now, the products are recyclable and reusable. So this ensures the sustainability of 44 families and producers of exotic fruit. So that's in all about 307 persons who live in that particular region of Madagascar. Thank you very much, Tantely. You will tell us later about how the consumers taste developed for local produce, because it's often said that in Madagascar, it's only certain segment which are able to export, but you seem to be doing well on the local as well as on the international market, and you've been able to reduce waste even after harvesting, which is extremely important in terms of taking into account all the segments of the chain value. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to give the floor. I see that there are many positive comments of people who are full of admiration for what you've been doing. If you have a similar experience, or if you have questions that you'd like to share, don't hesitate to use the chat and we'll respond to them later. We're going to move on to Kenya, go back to
we
Kenya
get now
again.
Into the slow food movement. I think most of you would have heard the Slow Food International, created first in Italy, and then that expanded, you know, all over the world, and of course in Africa as well. So Francis Muia is working for Slow Food Kenya. He's a project coordinator, the slow food, he will tell us, of course, much more, but we are quite familiar here with the movement for many years, and they have done a lot to just raise awareness on the local food, the value of the local food, including actually the local cuisine, so what you make out of food, which is also part of the culture of the country, the city, the continent, etc., or the terroir, or the part that is really the territory where, those producers have a very, very specific food linked to that part of the region, where they have developed for many centuries, in some cases, very good, products, quality products, and very unique to that part. But also, slow food has raised a lot of awareness on the need to better understand the smallholders, the producers, and that the consumers can influence, can support them, can influence by their buying, by their attitude, but what we buy every day in our markets or supermarkets, we can really influence, how much the producers can be supported, how much they can gain from what we buy, and also to understand better the sector and understand better the faces that and the workers that are behind the food we all consume every day. So it is a very interesting part. Of course, they have developed, as mentioned before, also agroecological practices, which is quite a holistic system, which takes into account the social, economic, environmental, dimensions, because it's all complex and it's all linked. So we have done actually with PAFO a dedicated sessions on agroecology. And you will tell us as well, Peter, a bit what are your approaches with consumers, the innovations you have put in place. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Peter, you can hear me? Yes. Or can you activate your microphone? Because I see the slide, but I think it's... if it was working very well before, unless you have now a problem with the connection. You are here? Yes, Francis, please. I know you have a problem.
Good afternoon. And
Yes, go ahead, Francis, if you can unmute yourself. Perhaps we have lost Francis. I see Francis.
Yes, good afternoon, team. I'm Francis Muia, working with Slow Food Kenya. I'm also a farmer, and also specifically we are training about the ecological farming system. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Go on. We can hear you, Francis.
Yes, Slow Food is all about, it's a grassroots organization that works to defend food biodiversity through agroecology and promotes good, clean, and fair food for all. Good should taste good and be rooted in season, place, and culture. Clean food and farming should promote healthy and well-being, preserve agricultural resources, protect the biodiversity, and ensure animal welfare. About fair, we talk about the consumer. Let us be fair in terms of pricing, and also be fair to the consumer in terms of supply of the produces. Next. Yeah, Slow Food has been doing a lot of agroecological work at the grassroots levels, and it has been a game change to the community, especially this time because we are also facing the issues of climate change, food systems, transformations, and agroecology has been a beacon to this all. So by integrating ecological principles into farming system, emphasizing on the importance of biodiversity, natural resource conservation, and regenerative agricultural practices. Through techniques such as intercropping, crop rotation, and agroforestry, agroecology has been a key area in enhancing soil health, reduces the need for synthetic inputs like pesticides, and through that, the farmers have seen the sustainability because the cost of production has gone down, and now the farmers have become independent without relying on the government subsidies. Next. Yeah, as you all know that agroecology fosters resilience and diversified food systems. And Slow Food, we have been working to empower farmers to adapt to the changing environment, and markets. Again, agroecology has been supporting smallholder farmers.
Yes. What?
Yes, agroecology has been supporting smaller farmers and the cultural communities, fostering economic development and social well-being. Overall, agroecology offers a promising pathway towards sustainable agriculture that benefits both people and the planet, and it has been a key area to improve sustainability. Slow food philosophy is strongly intertwined with agroecology. Both are rooted in rebuilding the relationship between agriculture and the environment, between food systems and the society, between farmers, food artisans, and the citizens. Agroecology focuses on sustainable farming and food production, fair distribution, qualitative consumption, and environmental responsibility that aligns with the slow food principles. Next. Yeah, the area of diversification has created a lot of sustainability to the farmers because we understand that monoculture, slow food does not support monoculture, that is planting one crop. For us, we emphasize on crop diversification, majorly focusing on the indigenous crops, the traditional food varieties, and that has improved the economic sustainability of the most of the groups. By exploring multiple incomes streams, farmers can mitigate the risk associated with the dependency on a single source of income. Diversifications allows farms to better withstand economic challenges such as market fluctuations, crop failures, or unexpected environmental changes. I can say one area slow food farms have majored in is all about diversification, and because diversification has played a key role. Another issue is about soil health and fertility management to enhance food safety. As we said earlier, Slow food, we train people on agroecology, and agroecology does not support the use of fertilizers. As you can see on the picture there, farmers are preparing their natural fertilizers, that is compost, making something we call bokash. That has reduced the need for the farmers to apply the synthetic fertilizers. By using these natural resources, natural fertilizers has reduced the cost of farmers to go to the market and buy the fertilizers. Crop rotation, intercropping, organic fertilization, and biological control of the pest. We also do integration of natural elements into our farms, and that has really helped farmers and to adapt to the changes, and also importance now to the consumers, because now the consumers are able to get the quality food that has been produced by farmers. To ensure sustainability, we also do a lot of sensitization, both to the consumers and the farmers, because now farmers are now producing their food. So now we go to the consumers. We start now from the top, that is from the consumers. We enlighten them about the production of we enlighten them about these agroecological foods, and through that we have seen a great change in terms of economic, farmers getting their fair prices, and also consumers getting good quality food, and also at affordable prices. Next. Yeah, management of indigenous seeds, recovery of disappearing animal breeds, plant varieties, and processed products. As you can see, this is where now we have community seed banks where farmers have been storing seeds. We have tried to link it with the consumer sensitization, because when farmers have an access of seeds at a cost-effective prices or at a friendly cost, the end product at the market will also be friendly in terms of the cost, or the pricing will be fair. So we also do a lot of sensitization on both areas for both farmers and the consumers, because at community seed banks, we have indigenous seeds that are diversified. So at the end, there at the market, the consumers will get products that are also diversified in terms of vegetables, indigenous African leafy vegetables, corns, legumes, and other food products. Next. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's just a nutshell of what we do as Slow Food Kenya. And we request that if you want to learn more, you can follow us at Slow Food Kenya. And thanks a lot, Isolina BOTO, for this opportunity. And we look forward to look at areas of collaboration. I will link you to the office so that we can look of areas now we can start working together. So thanks a lot. And in case of any other opportunity for training and enlightening communities, I'm available, and my team, I will also give them opportunity now to also share what we also do at Kenya. So thank you and ciao.
Thank you very much, Francis. I hope you stay with us. I know it was difficult for you today as well. You know, there is a connectivity, and you see it's even in the road. So yes, thank you very much. We will share, I take this opportunity to mention again, my colleagues, Axel and Nina will put it in the chat, but you know that we have a platform, Agri Innovators, who consolidates all the knowledge from those sessions, so the presentations. Francis, you are not muted. The presentations, the recordings of those sessions that you will also all receive, but they are all there, as well as all these stories. And we have a forum for discussion as well. And this is to mean that we will share as well, of course, from the organizations that have been involved, like Slow Food and the others. For those who want to know more, we put more information as well, and it's really worth for you to look at all these resources. You know, that is one of the key things of entrepreneurs, is to get the information everywhere you can, especially when it's accessible and free in that case. So I like very much from Francis, of course, all this indigenous food that Marlène and others have mentioned, and all the seed, I mean, all encouraging, of course, agroecological practices. The question, Francis, perhaps that can come at the end, because we have, as I mentioned, we have done sessions on agroecology is a bit the market side, how to promote agroecological products into the market, you know, that the really value they have, which is not often measurable at a very short term because they are not necessarily certified as such, as we know for organic and others. They are recognized for the great added value, you know, they bring to reducing indeed the chemical pesticides, you know, managing better the water, using the local seeds and the wealth of knowledge that the farmers have. You know, we often realize that we learn very little and the farmers had known all before us. But anyway, let's, without major delay, go to the next. And I encourage you to put, in addition to your encouragements to the speakers, of course, also any insight. So these last two speakers are also, of course, entrepreneurs, but they also run organizations or mechanisms which bring also support to the entrepreneurs and smallholders. So Peter Mwangi is the founder and CEO of Pemu Agrifood Academy. He has a long-standing experience on transforming agriculture practices in Africa. He's also the co-founder of Farmworks, which is one of the largest fresh food companies in Kenya. The distribution is more than 1 million kilos of fresh produce monthly, grown by over 5,000 farmers and distributed through a network of 3,000 vendors in 31 I have wholesale outlets. You will tell us more, but the focus you have as well is availability. Affordability is very important when we talk about consumers, and safety of fresh food for local markets, which are expanding in Africa. We all know that. And affordability is very important because when we talk about availability and quality, you still have to have the money in your pocket to buy that food. And that's where the challenge sometimes comes with consumers. It's not that they are unwilling, is that sometimes you have to be able to do so. So it's good to consider that part as well, that was mentioned by others. But in addition to this work as an entrepreneur and manager of an enterprise working with smallholders, you are also the founder and CEO of Pemu Agrifood Academy, with a leading enterprise that trains skilled farm operators and that helps farmers to also transition to regenerative, you know, farming systems, which is very important because we all agree, but we know from COLEAD, my colleagues and myself know that transitioning is very easy to say, but it still work, and you need, you know, to support people to transition to more sustainable systems as well. So please, Peter, thank you so much for being with us. Very appreciative, and the floor is yours. Thank you. I think the slide is, yeah, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Peter, we have a, Peter, we can, there is, unless it's me, Axel, alert me.
I will, if you allow, I'll switch off the video so that.
Please, because there is, yes, we can't hear you very well. Try to switch, yes.
Are you able to hear me now without the video?
Much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we still have problems with the internet. Yeah. So my name is Peter. I'm the founder and CEO of Pemu Agrifood, as Isolina have said. I'm also a co-founder and director at Farmworks Agriculture. I will talk about the two companies, what we do in Farmworks, and please let me know, Isolina, if I get lost and you are not able to hear me well.
I will.
So Farmworks Agriculture is fresh produce company, is a food company based here in Kenya, in Nairobi. Even though today I'm not talking from Nairobi, I'm talking from a small town called Embu. As Isolina said, we are one of the largest fresh produce distributors in Nairobi. Actually, I think in Nairobi, we are the largest distributor of fresh produce. And you can see one of the vendors who sell Farmworks produce, who we supply all the produce that she's selling there. We are able to source that from smallholder farmers, mid-sized farms, and grade it, pack it, and distribute through 3,000 vendors. We work with 5,000 farmers. who we support, depending on what they need, support them with training, support them with inputs on credit or on cash. And then the most important thing is we provide them a guaranteed market. And then we distribute this food. And we are now currently distributing over 1 million kilos of vegetables and fruits per month in Kenya. We have been largely distributing in Nairobi until a year ago when we started moving into other cities in Kenya. And we are growing fast. Hopefully, we will be able to cover the whole of Kenya in another 2 years. We are also, something I didn't put on this slide, we are also a mid-sized export company. We export fresh produce to Europe. We export beans, peas, and other vegetables to 5 countries in Europe and also to the Middle East. Again, all this produce comes from our 5,000 supported smallholder farmers. So in Farmworks, we operate our own retail outlets so that we can be able to have a better control of what goes on in the market. We have currently 31 wholesale outlets that distributes these 1 million kilos. We have 2 pack houses, one in Nairobi for packing for domestic produce and one in a town called Muia, which packs for export. Our focus is really in Farmworks is ensuring availability. Are we going to be able to make food, fresh produce available to as many Kenyans as possible? Kenya is a net food importer. It imports everything, including fresh produce, vegetables and fruits from our neighboring countries. But sometimes some fruits come from as far as South Africa, Egypt, and even West Africa. So our aim is to make food available, fresh produce available, we'll make it affordable, try to smoothen out the shortage and the boom and the bust, what we say. So some periods you don't have produce, and other periods you have a lot of produce. By organizing farmers and scheduling their plantings, we are able then to do a constant supply. We're also looking at affordability, I said, and safety. A major concern that has been coming in the last couple of years here in Kenya is people are now starting to really worry and ask about the safety of the food that we are giving them. And of course, we are under the spotlight. As the largest distributor of fresh produce in Nairobi, everybody always asks us, so what are you putting in place to make sure that the tomatoes, the onions that we are buying from vendors of Farmworks is safe? And I'll talk about what we do there. And then the challenge has always been the fact that even though consumers are asking and consumers are becoming more and more aware of the quality as well as the safety of the food they are eating, the challenge is how do we transmit this information, transmit this knowledge back to the farmer so that the farmer also becomes more aware that people are actually getting more anxious about what they are eating in terms of safety and quality. The issue of quality of food has become also quite a bit of a topic in the last couple of months. People, I'm not sure how many of you are aware that a lot of fresh produce that is now being eaten in the market has over the last 10, 15, 20 years lost, in some cases, more than 50% of the nutrient content that they used to have, because the soils have been degraded and the minerals in the soils have been depleted. So today when you are eating an orange in Nairobi, it doesn't mean that you are eating an orange, that orange could actually be having only 50% of the nutrient content it used to have 20 years ago. And so this is a new dynamic that we are starting to get questions by especially the middle and the upper class consumers who are asking, yes, it is safe, it doesn't have pesticides, but what is the nutrient content in this food? So our commitment is dedicated to strengthening food security in Africa by providing safe, nutritious, and accessible produce to communities. The biggest challenge that Farmworks faces is that we cannot find enough produce. We can't find enough high quality produce consistently and at affordable prices. And that is why one of the reasons I and a few other people formed a company called Pemu Agrifood Academy. Just to add that I'm not involved on a day-to-day management of Farmworks. I'm a co-founder and a director, but my full-time employment or my full-time work is with the new company called Pemu Agri-Food Academy. And our main goal here is to train and deploy skilled farm operators to help our 5,000 farmers. We started with our 5,000 farmers to actually produce better crops that can meet the demand in terms of quality, in terms of safety, and in terms of nutrient content. So it's an academy, so we are training technicians like you can see here. And these technicians, we are deploying them to farms. Either smallholder farmers who we organize into small groups, all big commercial farms that supply us also as managers, as general workers, as technicians. Again, one of the biggest challenges facing users in Kenya and in Africa, workers. Our education systems don't train people for work. We don't value too much practical skills, and therefore you have a huge shortage of skilled operators. But on the other hand, you have a very high level of unemployment in the villages. So we are taking all this, we are trying to mop up as many of the unemployed people we can find in the village, give them the skills, and then deploy them to help our farmers. So for both companies, our key focus now with expansion is to, first of all, there is a lot of work we need to do in Kenya. We still, even though we are the single largest distributor of fresh produce in Nairobi, we are still very far from being able to meet the full market requirement. And for Pemu, of course, our goal is to distribute, or rather to deploy as many skilled operators as we can to help these farmers to produce better. Not just because Farmworks needs produce, we are hoping we can go way beyond what Farmworks needs. Our key focus now is on a regenerative agriculture. This is a real key focus for both companies. We're trying to find how do we bring back the soils. As I said, the soils are highly depleted, and with the climate change, frequent droughts, heavy flooding, it's very difficult now for smallholder farmers and mid-sized farmers to actually produce food consistently. There's very heavy reliance on pesticides usage, especially for the domestic market. For the export market, which I also said we serve, the controls are much tighter, and there we are really forced by circumstances to make sure that produce we sell to Europe doesn't have high levels of pesticide residue. But for domestic market, we really have to struggle to make sure that our farmers are also paying attention to the level of pesticide usage. And it's because the climate has changed. Pests are much more, we have much more pests than we used to have even a few years ago because the climate is warmer. So the two companies work very closely. Pemu mainly focusing on helping Farmworks farmers to produce. And of course, we go beyond Farmworks farmers. We also help other farmers. And our goal is to meet the consumer demand. And we are trying to align our production, our supply to meet the consumer preferences, especially when it comes to safety, quality, and sustainability. So that is Farmworks. I think I'll come to an end here. Isolina?
I think you hear me now. Yes, thank you so much, Peter. Very, very interesting. I like very much your points on first the fresh fruits, vegetables, and fresh food, which is key for the health part as well, provided, of course, that they are not full of chemical pesticides. They are grown properly on sustainable soils, and we don't deplete, of course, the soil we need, and which is the base for the work of the smallholders. But I like also the safety concerns. Indeed, is one of the core work of COLEAD as well, food safety at all levels, not just food safety for export markets, and then you lower your level for domestic markets. This is not right. We want food safety for all. And I like as well the education, of course, part, the skills. We have also discussed that in some of our sessions. The skills that are provided are not in line with what entrepreneurs need. And then, you know, this reskilling and investing more on the knowledge and practical knowledge that is needed to grow. And of course, the effects of climate change and how you address that. So very, very interesting. I'm sure that we will collaborate as well with your academy side, and I'm very impressed by the figures of the enterprise side as well. So let's see in the final part of the questions if there are more questions. So for you, I have to say that we have a public that is very appreciative, which means as well that, you know, there are cases sometimes you don't have questions because you are just impressed by what people have done. But thank you, Peter, and I'm glad that the connection went well. So our last presenter today, je suis toujours très contente en fait d'accueillir
I'm always delighted to welcome ROPPA, which is a member of PAFO with whom we organize PAFO. ROPPA is really the network of Farmers and Producers Organization of West Africa. So the acronym is ROPPA, ROPPA. If you haven't heard about them, please research, because we've been a leader. They've been a leader of farmers in many ways, not just to improve the situation of smallholders and family farms in West Africa, but also they've raised awareness amongst consumers. You will hear more about this thanks to Ousseini. There is raising awareness about policies and politics, because smallholders don't necessarily hear about politics. In a former capacity in my career, I have always been impressed by the way you are upholding the rights of farmers and smallholders. We know that they're not correctly paid or recognized for their real value. So Ousseini is well familiar with the network of farmers even before he was at ROPPA. Main office of ROPPA is in Ouagadougou, in Burkina Faso. So we want to thank Ousseini for joining us from Ouagadougou, and we want to thank him for sharing his experience as representative of ROPPA, for getting in touch directly with the consumers. There is what they call a Farmers University, and that's an impressive initiative that the previous speaker was referring to. So Ousseini, it's a pleasure to see you again. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Isolina. I too am particularly happy to be here with you. As you indicated, I'm Ousseini Ouedraogo, and I am the Executive Secretary of ROPPA, who's been cooperating with COLEAD through PAFO. PAFO is a continental platform of farmers' organization. And like ROPPA, it is present in all 5 regions of our continent. Unfortunately, the executive representatives of PAFO is not present at this point. So what is ROPPA? ROPPA, I mean, Isolina presented it, introduced it really well. So ROPPA was created in 2000 by the farmers' organizations of the region. So it is also, it has national platforms, and it is represented in all countries of EWACS. And so this means that whether these are Federation of farmers who do agriculture or breeding, and the membership is only of association. Individual membership is not accepted. So there are 15 countries with 15 national platforms, 147 federations to begin with, and 27 million individuals, individual farmers and smallholders. And we have really some main crops such as rice, vegetables, cereals, and of course, then there is meat and cattle. We have a reflection group with young people who have joined these national associations and federations. We also have national colleges, which have been created also for women. So the overriding objective of ROPPA is to promote family holdings through influencing some policies and development of services for our members, especially economic services. So ROPPA is, in a few words, the promotion of family agriculture, upholding the interest of family holders, influencing policies, programs, development strategies, agro-silviculture, and so on. So what are our strategic priorities? We have a 5-year plan, which is developed around 5 regional programs and thematic programs. The first is around national systems. So it's support accompaniment of proximity agriculture. So when that is done, it works for the family holders. The second one is about transition, climate change, agroecology, and then we have development of economic services, interprofessional and development of the different subsectors and productions, and consumption, which is one of the items that we're dealing with today. So this 5th program, let me focus on it. So we have local and national consumption of products which have been produced by West African family holders. We do the link between producers and consumers. And what we want to do is increase the share of local products and national products on rural markets, urban markets, institutional purchasing, and a collective catering. We want to facilitate the design, follow-up, and implementation of public policies regarding food with local produce, and this thanks to a structured political dialogue. It is important to avoid competing with one another, because otherwise it would be no good for the farmers and for the poorest. So ROPPA is combining dialogue at a political level and influence. We also want to have specific operational actions to strengthen the producer's capacity to increase consumption of local products. And I'd like to introduce you to some initiatives. Back in 2003, ROPPA was created in 2000. And in 2003, with the College of Women, we launched a campaign for Africa, saying Africa is capable of nourishing its population, of feeding its population. But to do that, we need to support production, to support certain crops. We need to be able to put these products on the market, process the products, put them on the market, and have preservation methods. So that's what we call the campaign, Africa is Feeding You. How did it pan out? Well, in the various countries, there were official events organized by farmers' organization. Women's College also tried to promote consumption of local products, and there were tasting initiatives. They approached politicians, government, public structures, attended official ceremonies. The results were not equal everywhere, depending on the countries, of course, but everywhere we were able to obtain some results. In Niger, it was particularly interesting because the Women's College went through the First Lady of Niger, and so in all official ceremonies now only local products are being used. In Burkina, it was the Prime Minister who really highlighted the importance of consuming local products during official ceremonies. Same thing in Benin. The president of the country decided to give value, give prominence to the consumption of local products. And also he explained that there should be easier movement of these products in the countries of West Africa by lifting some tariff barriers. There were approaches that were taken to restaurants, hotels, and other collective structures. And so that was all about this campaign of Africa is Feeding You. Back in 2016, there was a board meeting and a statement that was made regarding consumption of local products. And in 2016, we wanted to draw some conclusions. We noted that our region was still heavily dependent on imports of some food on the market, and that of course impacted some segment of the production market, producers market. And so with the help of the domestic market, we were able to put in place some services, especially with the customs services, and because the cost of food was getting higher and higher, people didn't know how to pay for this. So we raised awareness amongst the authorities, and this led to a dialogue and to the implementation of a fifth element, which is a common external tariff. Based on that, we developed the strategic plan of ROPPA, which is entirely dedicating to the consumption of local food. Another element was the direct link between farmers and consumers. So fairgrounds, you know, all those events where you can promote and sell your product. The most successful and best known event is Fiara, which is something which was organized, a fair which was organized by CNC. It's a platform in Senegal, and you have countries from all the countries, or participants coming from all countries that attend. And women are represented, and outside Fiara, you have the agricultural fair of Abidjan, of Parakou. Burkina is also represented annually in such events. So through the fairs, women have improved the processes, the packaging, and there was a woman from Mali who delivers regularly couscous and other pre-cooked ingredients. So some women have really a very good presence on local and regional markets where they're able to deliver their products. They've been in contact also with equipment providers. They've improved their processes, their packaging. They've organized taste events. There is also the organization of what we call periodic markets. So those are, the idea here is to sell products from agroecological practices. It started in Mali and it is now spreading. So every week you have a platform trying to mobilize all the main players, all the stakeholders of agroecology. And for instance, you're going to have a market for market garden produce, and there is something specific and different every week. This is gaining in importance. In Mali, at first, they sold only 500 kilos of products. Now it's more than a ton. Same thing in Togo. Another initiative is the creation of some CPF windows because we want to showcase our local products. So we need to be the first promoters of these products. And that's why special showcases have been created. So anything which is produced and processed by the family holdings. And a lot, it has been extremely successful, the idea of these showcases, showing how to prepare those special dishes. You're going to have some suggestions as to regarding special recipes and cultural practice, and recommendations about this type of rice would be better for soup, this type of rice would be better with sauce or gravy or with something more fatty. So it helps consumers get to know the products better. So what type of cereal to be used when you want to cook this or that dish. And I must say that some consumers were worried that the product would not be of quality. But parallel to all these initiatives, we decided to support the women to improve the processes, the sanitary quality, and the quality of their presentation. What else did we do? Well, we worked also on getting institutions to participate. So our membership, our federation membership is also taking part in procurement, for instance, for the national stocks or for the school canteens. We've often associated our efforts to those of the bank institutions union. So we're going to ask for support from the banks to mobilize the necessary resources to improve all that. We've done a lot to animate events in different countries, to improve things in school canteens. So in each country, we share what we've done with the school canteens, who can help us, and how can the small companies get involved in this. Benin, for instance, is a point in case. PAM is an important stakeholders. Small organizations, women and their small business, processing businesses have been able to get involved in the different essays. So this is what I wanted to talk about. Thanks again for inviting us to take the floor today. Thank you very much, Ousseini. We gave you a little bit more time so that you can really summarize what ROPPA has been doing for farmers and smallholders in West Africa. It's important to show the value of the local production of local crops. It's not a competition with imports, but when the situation warrants it, it is important to rehabilitate certain products, certain crops, because those are also quality products. And by taking part in these events, in these discussions, you also show that an inclusive movement, extremely based on participation of women and youth. This is of paramount importance. Another thing which we might not have highlighted enough is that there need to be political encouragement, because of course it's not enough to pay lip service to saying consume locally, but you know, you need to have political willingness with the taxes, for instance. And if at local functions, at local events, official events, you give preference to local products and agroecological products, then you have a winner. So communication towards consumers is important. This is to briefly recap what you said about this issue.
There are not many questions, just expressions of gratitude, actually, which is excellent. I have a question for Marlène, but the same question could be asked to every speaker. What are the customs challenges faced today? Challenges related to health, phytosanitary measures. For those of you selling their produce, not only in their own countries, but also in neighboring countries and in countries where the diaspora is living. Does it apply to dried products or desiccated products, frozen products? Do you have problems with customs? Do you have administrative problems? And I also have a question for Francis. It's raining a lot in Kenya. So he sent me his answer. The question was, does your organization take into account the reduction in yields due to agroecological practices? How can you convince farmers to give up traditional farming using chemicals? He told me that indeed it's a long process. It takes a long time to convince the farmers. It was quite difficult at the beginning, but it's getting easier now because, as some other panelists said, many diseases, many plant diseases have to do with the excessive use of chemicals in production. And the cost of inputs has strongly increased the cost of fertilizers, among other products. Also, there is a very high demand for organic food by the consumers themselves and by the public at large. And that was also mentioned by the other speaker from Kenya. And a few policies are now being implemented. For instance, in Murunga county in Kenya, they are now using a agroecological policy. So that was his answer to your question, Brahim. It was a question by Brahim Amadi. Now, regarding phytosanitary barriers and certification, I can give you the floor to you, the other speakers, if you have something to add to what you heard from the other panelists. And of course, you're free to add any further points you would like to raise. Joanne, please. What about customs barriers?
If not, I will go to the next, because with the connections to Marlène. Marlène?
Yes, I'm with you. I would answer as follows. The consumers, some consumers buy your product and we send them by mail with certificates. But most of people from the diaspora buy when they travel to Benin for a holiday, for instance. So we do not have such constraints, I mean customs constraints or phytosanitary constraints. And we are looking for vendors a bit everywhere. But if you look for distributors, if you're looking for vendors, you will have to dwell on that question. Yes, sure. And are there problems right now about understanding understanding current regulations, current legislations, etc.? Yes, well, it depends on the country. Each country has its specificities. For instance, in the US, you have to fill in a huge documentation. Same in Canada. For France, it's much easier, but we also have to fill in a number of forms. I can't give you a concrete example at this stage, but indeed, it depends on the country, and it goes with a high cost. It can be costly. Sometimes the customer will pay for 1 kilo of produce multiplied by 3 because of export expenses. Yes, regulations are country specific, of course, and are implemented in specific manners. But the biggest problem, of course, is cost. And you may need support in the future for certification, for instance. Now, Tantely, you wanted to contribute to this question? Yes. I would like to say that we don't encounter too many problems to export our products, but it becomes complicated when our products reach customs offices in other countries. Regarding sampling methods, for instance, and it has many consequences, and also regulations keep changing each year. They're updated, especially when it comes to organic certification. Fortunately, COLEAD is there to help us and update us about all these regulations. And I also wanted to encourage Marlène, because myself at the very beginning, I was so small. I started in my own kitchen, and dehydrating 500 grams a day. desiccating 500 grams a day. And then finally, I acquired skills and more, and I grew up. So be strong, Marlène, and don't hurry up. Take your time. It takes some time to grow up. And don't invest too much at a time, because the market can be quite uncertain, especially now after the COVID crisis. But keep moving on more and more, and bon courage. Thank you. It's very kind of you. That was a good exchange between entrepreneurs. On export markets and regional markets. Peter?
Unfortunately, Isolina, I am not able to see the translation anywhere.
Oh, I see. I see. Actually, there was one question that could be a bit for all, which was, do you have challenges, you know, at the borders, or sanitary or certification, or you know, that you have to implement, and you face challenges at the borders, for example, or outside in the export markets. That was for Marlène, but I thought it could apply to some of you. But I also encourage you, if you have any other questions coming from the presentation, or insights to share coming from the other presentations, to just yes, share them. There were no questions for you in particular, because they are all appreciations. But I thought, you know, as a last round before we finish the session, it could be interesting to bring other insights you want to share. What Tantely has said is the cost. The cost is very high, you know, as well as to transition, you know, to more sustainable practices. But you might know that as well, since you are training some of the farmers and some of the entrepreneurs.
Yes, I think one of the things I would like to say, Isolina, a very quick one, is that I agree with you 100%. We have been exporting safe food to Europe from Africa, and I think it is time also now we started supplying safe food to the domestic market. And while we like to do export, but I think what excites me most as a person is making food, nutritious food, available in the domestic market that is as safe as the produce that I sent to export markets.
You made that clear, and from COLEAD we are also, even if our experience for very, very long time, I have to say, is on export markets for many years now, because we respond to demands. The demand has been increasing and is more than half of the requests we receive in local and regional markets, and this is where the growth is. And that's where you say yourself, there is work to be done to try to have the food as safe as the one for exports. I mean, because there shouldn't be categories. You keep low quality food at home and you export a very good one. And this requires also a lot of work, especially in the context of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. And we had a session because PAFO and the members were looking into that as well. So yes, thank you very much. Again, the COLEAD, we will send that as well. You can have the page where we have all the programs. We have different services. We have training for those who want to get, for example, certification. We have technical assistance, but you know, we are not the only ones. We work in partnership. We have different services that can, depending on the markets you are looking, depending if it's fresh or processed food, you know, there is a lot of support there that we can share as well. And my colleagues have put the Agri-Innovators, the community part as well, where we discuss between entrepreneurs, like here, but with more time and, you know, sharing documents on the experiences that entrepreneurs have. And we have 3 now areas running: climate, the effect of climate on the production and the resilience. We have the labeling, and we have the packaging, because many of the entrepreneurs tell us that they have difficulties in sourcing locally the packaging, you know, especially the one that has to comply with some of the environmental, you know, policies and concerns. So I invite you really connect to the communities free as well. We share a lot of resources. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter. Very much appreciated. Alors, Ousseini, je regarde.
Ousseini, I'm looking at the chat. And all I see is thank you, thank you, thank you in French and in English. Thank you for your presentation. It was indeed very interesting. I don't know if you want to add anything to what you said, because you gave us a pretty good overview of what should be done, what has been done in Europe and what should be done in other regions. Ousseini, would you like to add something? Yes, two things. First of all, the future steps. Numerization. We have been supporting a number of national platforms marketing their products online, and it is working, especially with young people. Even at ROPPA, we have developed our own platform. And we are going to stress whatever has to do with numerization and also extension. We've been working on pineapple in Benin, and we are focusing on quality. Of course, we are trying to promote the Farmers University, which is used for promotion and mutualization. We are using farmers' expertise and technical expertise, and about marketing of local products. We also work on agri-food technologies. We bring all those people together at the level of the university. It's a multi-actor, a multi-stakeholder platform. And it's a place where many people can meet and discuss about our common concerns. Equipment manufacturers, research institutes have decided to work together on a given issue. And that's all I wanted to add. One more word about the intensification of agroecology. Yes, it's going to take time, but it is feasible. And people are getting more and more aware. I mean, people is consumers and governments become more and more aware of the need to preserve the planet and to protect consumers' health. In the long term, we shall be able to achieve proper, good results. The costs of inputs are increasing, as you said, and more products are no longer efficient against plant diseases. I would like to take advantage of this opportunity, Isolina, to tell you that we have a forum on agroecology in Abuja, sorry, at the end of this month. It will be held as a hybrid meeting, and maybe some of you might want to take part online. Yes, with pleasure. We shall send you a mail with the different presentations with a link and such information, because it is quite interesting. All that information will be posted on the site. And one last question, Ousseini. Why don't you enlarge ROPPA experience throughout the continent to promote exchanges of produce? Yes, it's a basic idea of ROPPA. We are trying to mutualize what they will do with other networks, and hope that through PAFO we shall be able to meet or to reach other people throughout the continent. The president is trying to promote this, through PAFO, we should move down to other countries, Rwanda, Tanzania, etc. So don't hesitate. Organizations, I'm speaking to the organizations listening to us. You can contact PAFO, and they'll try to see how to help you by sharing mutual experiences with other actors on the continent. Yes, indeed. And in one of our sessions on agroecology, we spoke about opportunities and constraints. But indeed, yes, thank you very much for that information. And I hope that we shall be able to cooperate on this because it is best practices. And I don't think Babafemi is still with us, but he spoke at the beginning of the meeting. There is no further question. Axelina, tell me. All I see is people thanking the speakers. I would like to join them in doing so because it was extremely interesting. I've learned a lot and it is quite encouraging as well. I know there is a lot of work behind this, but we heard from the mouth of several speakers that it is possible, it is feasible. I'm not going to summarize all the items that were raised during this session. The panelists themselves did it extremely well. So thank you very much for this. This is just the beginning of a debate. These topics will keep coming back in future sessions. But I would also like to invite those of you in the audience today from different countries and producers, consumers, sponsors. I would like to invite you to tell us if you want to intervene in a future session. I'm going to send you the email address to which you can send suggestions, queries, proposals. If you believe that you have a good story to tell about your company, about your association, don't hesitate, let us know. And most of our panelists are initially unknown to us. They are not part of our networks. It's just organization, people, individuals, which are ready to share their experience. Success stories, if you like. So don't hesitate to let us know. You're all welcome. And now I would like to thank you, to thank our colleagues from PAFO, of course, and our colleagues from COLEAD, because there are many. You have those you can see and the others you can't see. Gaëtan, who organizes our Zoom sessions. Technically, it's quite complex. Gaëtan and his colleagues. Sandra for promotion. You will receive all the information, and thank you to the interpreters. We are concluding on time today, and all my colleagues, Axel, Nina, who joined us recently, young women. There are not only women, of course, but young people are very present in our network, and technicians, training officers, and so on. Don't hesitate. If you have suggestions, please approach us. And thank you very much, and see you soon. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Merci, Ousseini.
Bye bye.
Bonjour à tout le monde du repas.
Merci.
Merci infiniment.
Merci, Tantely. Bonjour à Madagascar.
Oui, il y a le soleil là qui
Oh,
vous attend.
ça, c'est de la provocation. Moi, j'ai
Il y
de
a
la
aussi les
pluie. On est inondé
palmiers.
de
De ce
pluie.
côté, il y a les palmiers.
Je vous montre pas pour pas vous déprimer.
Merci infiniment. Au revoir. Au plaisir.
Au revoir Marlène aussi. Je vous vois encore connectée. Au revoir. Merci beaucoup. Ok, je vais me déconnecter maintenant. Au revoir, hein, Sylvia. À bientôt, équipe. Merci.